Hey, since no one really asked, let's do a Manly Wasp review. Manly is a Bulgarian company making functional knives with good steels and apparently named to appeal to the sorts of dude in which the descriptor soy boy is an important component to their daily lexicon. Here, let me use it in a sentence for you.
You soy boy metrosexuals don't know shit about knives. Let me tell you about the time I took my $50 knife and saved a horse strapped to an overturned cart.
I wish I were making that up, however, my held for review filter did me a solid and caught that 10 paragraph masterpiece. That's the abridged version. I mean, just because I'm not making that up doesn't mean he wasn't. I know I should have screenshotted it or screenshot it. But I digress. Before we go further, let's take a look at the dimensions, like the overall length and weight. What's the manliest thing you've ever done? Okay, I'll go first. Blade size and cutting edge. Once I sat in my underwear with a 12 pack of PBR and played Morrowind for 8 hours. Handle size and grip area. Did not have kids at the time, and half of that 8 hours was walking from Dagon Eel to Ebonheart. Spine thickness and handle thickness. Didn't feel like figuring out how many Silt Strider connections I had to make. So how about you? What's the manliest thing you've done? Tallnesses.
I didn't get that entire fucking reference, you millennial soy boy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go watch my Matlock marathon.
Okay, it was a combination of my tactical and old guy voice, and plus I don't know what old guys do anymore. So, the Manly Wasp, on loan from Instagrammer JCoolG19, I'll link him below, features a flat ground drop point satin finished blade made from S90V steel. S90V, of course, is a hard-wearing steel known for its stainlessness and scarceness in sub $100 blades. You can get the S90V variant in the Manly Wasp, like seen in this video, for about 80 bucks, or a cheap $60 Sandvik version, or Sandwich as my autocorrect made it. Blade Forms has a long-running Manly thread where people seem genuinely to like the knives. I'll link it down below as well, in case you think I'm shilling on a loaner knife. The blade is thin behind the edge and very slicey. It should hold its edge a decent amount of time because of the steel. Now the deployment and lockup, or is it slip up? Sorry, I don't mean to confuse you because the knife doesn't lock. Okay, I kind of like confusing people. Slip joints, by design, don't lock. They do have a back spring that gives the blade some resistance or tension when it's open, so it doesn't close easily. Slip joints are legal in a lot more places than locking blades, so that's why they're popular. There was a time not too long ago when no blades locked, and everyone was fine with that, but not anymore. You pull the blade, you'll notice it has about 4 clicks. Doot, 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 doot. Is that 4? Until it's completely open. The pull on the blade is slightly easier than my Lion Steel CK01, but only barely. A 6 out of 10 on the completely arbitrary pull scale. A thumb nick is kind of there for show because it's easy just to grip the spine and pull it open. So that's the walk, and the talk, of course, is, when it snaps back. You'll have to close it almost all the way for it to suck into the handle.
Yes, suck is definitely the right word here.
There's a decent amount of resistance keeping the blade from folding while open, a relatively strong back spring. The handle is nice and comfortable, just a little small, not too bad. The G10 scales aren't super aggressive and give an okay amount of texture. G10 is, of course, a fiberglass type material. The blade has a nested or hidden steel liner that has skeletonized holes to save weight. Fit and finish is pretty good. There are a few areas where the handle scales aren't quite 100% flush with the spine or the back spring. But no real owie parts or issues that affect use and quality, just the OCD of the knife nitpickers. For me personally, the knife and scale color choices are a little bland on the Wasp. It doesn't have quite the flair of a micarta handled knife, or like my current favorite slip joint has, the Lion Steel CK01. But some people use their knife more than look at it and take pictures of it. And in that case, the Manly is great. Now, one thing a lot of slip joints forget today is the pocket clip. Well, not forget, but omit. The Lion Steel doesn't have one, but I have a clip slip for that. Of course, you saw the video, right? The Manly has a swappable, yet tip-up deep carry clip that allows you to slip it right in the pocket. It goes in easy and isn't too tight. It's more like a Spyderco spoon clip than a Cold Steel doesn't take shit from anyone clip. It has the word Manly on it in case you need some sort of validation because your testicles aren't quite enough, apparently. Maybe there's an aftermarket for clips that say unfiltered cigarettes, or I like boobs, or I'm behind on my child support. I guess they'd have to change the font size for those. Huh. Comparisons. First, the Wasp, kind of boring in a Spyderco tenacious sort of way, but a pretty good example of a modernized slip joint. Knife traditionalists might point out having a hard-wearing stainless steel and a pocket clip ruins a slip joint. However, what they won't tell you is their shitty opinions sometimes try to ruin good opinions. Next, the Lion Steel CK01. Like I said earlier, this has a lot of options in terms of handle material and is a good-looking, light-use pocket knife. I do prefer it over the Manly because it's a bit more compact and closer in size to, say, an old Schrade or Camillus. This one also has modern materials and a good blade steel, a good modern blade steel, and it's been my main everyday carry blade at work for the past several months. Because it's legal to carry and it's pretty inoffensive if you have to whip it out in front of coworkers. Now the Summit Knives Half Dome. This one locks, so, it's not ideal, but when I shot this review, most of my collection was still packed away. Hopefully by the time you've watched this, I'm done moving. Look for an upcoming review of it. It's small, compact, and, kind of ugly, but the Manly is kind of boring, so ugly and boring sound like good company. Now the Mud Auto. This knife shares little in common with any of the other knives. I really like it a lot, and it's bigger, so that's swell. This one is an automatic and not legal to carry on your person in a lot of places, not for any real reason other than what is basically security theater. This knife isn't more dangerous than any other locking knife and really doesn't deploy any faster. But the world needs dumb laws so prosecutors can appear to be tough on crime before running for office. So I'm glad it helps them. Okay, let's wrap it up. The Wasp is a good value for the blade steel it offers. Reading through threads about Manleys, it seems people are generally pleased with the edge retention. Translated, it means that Manly probably uses the steel it says it uses. It's not really exciting, but more of a working knife. If you're watching product videos on YouTube about knives, are you really interested in exciting things anyway? Construction is solid. Fit and finish is on par with Spyderco's under 100 and over 100 too. Meaning if you look your knives over with a magnifying glass, you can find some slight flaws here and there. However, it must be said, if you look your knives over for flaws instead of using them to find the flaws, then you're doing it wrong. Sometimes I get comments where people like that I'm not a nitpicker. That's sort of true. I look for legitimate problems in usage and construction. If a D10 isn't perfect or, we get a Benchmade level blade centering, then it's not something I really fret over. How does it feel in the hand? How does it perform in use? Those are things I look for. Anyway, if you like this sort of review, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to leave a nice comment or a mean one if you're an asshole. Remember, assholes are here to make everyone else look and feel better about themselves. So they are valuable and deserve your piss if they're, in flames. Baton that like button, Patreon me. Now that I've moved into a new place, I have firsthand felt California's rent, childcare, and gas prices. So Patreon helps me buy gear to review and stay sponsorship free with the occasional donation. So, I got this slide now, so that's something I'm doing for you guys. I know I suck at doing things for you guys other than making videos. But thanks for watching anyway.